Imagine the panic and terror you would feel if residents in your community were being gunned down at random. This is exactly what happened in Southern California during just 2 months in 1986. 3 people would lose their lives to a self-described survivalist in a rampage that struck fear into the people who were just trying to live their lives. 1 victim was killed while doing yard work, 1 while driving to work, and the last was killed while walking her dog. No one was safe during this reign of terror at the hands of Danny Figueroa, the backwoods sniper. Danny Figueroa was born in Moreno Valley, California on September 24, 1959. He was a troubled child, said to enjoy spending time in the wilderness more than with his family or other people. As he grew older, it was clear that something was not right with Danny. He was described as having the mental abilities of a child and preferred hanging around kids that he taught how to camp and hunt with BB guns. His hometown, Paris, California, became an imaginary battlefield where Figueroa and his young friends fought countless wars. But to Danny, the battles became all too real in 1986. He emerged from the wilderness dressed like a soldier and began a series of murders that gripped the area with fear. On May 13, 1986, 53-year-old Reynold Johnson was working in his yard. Figueroa killed him with a single shot from his rifle. Neighbors reported a strange man lurking in the neighborhood dressed in military fatigues earlier in the day, but no one could identify who the man was. Once Figueroa had crossed the line to murder and brought his fantasies to life, he was eager to kill again. Just over 2 weeks later, on May 29th, he killed for the second time. A 19-year-old named Ray Weber was working on a ranch near the San Mateo Canyon in Riverside County. He was found dead in his truck from a single shotgun blast that destroyed his skull. 5 days later, an undocumented migrant was walking through a field on his way to meet with some friends who were going to take him to LA. He was approached by a man in a military uniform and carrying a rifle, but it was not a border patrol officer like he had thought. Instead of arresting him, the man shot him and left him there bleeding to die. Thankfully, the victim was able to crawl and get help, and was rushed to a hospital. Once he had recovered enough to speak, the man gave a description of his attacker to the police. Soon after, they found Danny Figueroa creeping around in his military paraphernalia. They took his weapon and questioned him about the shooting, which he denied any involvement in. Unfortunately, the victim did not identify Danny as his attacker, and the killer was let go. Only days later, Danny was on the prowl again looking for a victim. He came across Robert Jimenez barbecuing in his backyard in Indio, California. Danny had been walking around in the area behind his home and waved to Jimenez before raising his rifle. His bullets found their target multiple times, and Danny continued firing as Jimenez ran to a neighbor's house to find cover. Eventually, the killer stopped shooting and fled. Thankfully, Robert Jimenez survived the attack. 9 days later, on June 17, 1986, Figueroa killed his final victim. The last time anyone saw 72-year-old Mary Langridge alive, she was going to walk her dog in the San Mateo Canyon. When Danny came across her, he shot her 5 times in the back, and when her husband reported her missing, police searched the area she had gone to. They found her body and also met 2 construction workers who had seen a man in military clothing fleeing from the area. Putting 2 and 2 together, the police sought out Danny Figueroa as he matched the description of the suspicious man seen near the murder scene. They spent the next week searching the desert and open space where Danny's family said he was camping. Using dogs, helicopters, and infrared scopes, they eventually caught Figueroa on June 28th. He had been seen by hikers only 2 miles from his home. The helicopters and police zeroed in on the location, taking him into custody without a shot fired. He was charged with 3 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder for the shooting of Robert Jimenez. Danny confessed to the murders, claiming that he had killed Raymond Weber out of self-defense after the 19-year-old had followed him in his truck as he hiked. Anxious to avoid a death penalty, Figueroa pled guilty, and in June of 1987 he was sentenced to 66 years to life in prison. Danny Figueroa died on December 20th, 1998 at age 39.